What's going on, you bunch of heathens? And yes, you do see correct. I'm throwing it back to one of my older models. Someone, I forget who it was, someone mentioned that because I like to change up my models a lot. And someone mentioned, oh, hey, you've been with this model for a while. Do you think about swapping it up soon? And I have no real plans on it. But then I was thinking about it, and it got stuck in my head. I was like, I know what? I haven't used this model in a while. So here we are. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this one. Who knows? But yeah, should be fun. Today, though, we're checking out Sabaton Price of a Mile. I don't remember why I chose this one. I think there was a reason. I can't remember. But here we are. The links are going to be down below, so go check them out, as always. Can't not wait for the history section, because they're always fun. And yeah, without further ado, let's get this scuffed intro done and get straight into the video.
Throw your soldiers into positions whence there is no escape, and they will prefer death to flight.
Oh, I am loving this intro. Okay, I think I've only seen this maybe once before on their lyric videos. I think. I only remember at least once before. I don't remember which song it was, but I love it when they add historical photos. Oh, it was I just had it, now it's gone. I love it when they add historical photos to the I don't know why I'm blanking. To the video, the lyric videos.
Hear the sound of a machine gun, hear it echo in the night. Mortars firing, rains the scene, scars the fields that once were green. It's a stalemate at the front line, where the soldiers rest in mud. Roads and houses, all is gone, there's no glory to be won. Know that many men will suffer, know that many men will die. 500,000 lives at stake as the fields of Passchendaele. And as the night falls, the general calls, and the battle carries on and on. What is the purpose of it all?
God, the lead up to the purpose of it all is very, like, this line right here that he's talking about. I just pointed at my screen as if you could see me. This one right here is very reminiscent of another song I've heard. I cannot think of what it is. Like, for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was. But it is very reminiscent of something. But I really like it. And also, I like it when fucking does this. I love it when he does this stuff, this kind of like lower, growlier voice, because it, to me at least, personally, I feel like he puts a bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Emotion. At least to me, it evokes more emotion in me whenever he does something like this. Yeah, see, that right there, I can't think of what the song is, but it is very reminiscent of something else. Or maybe it's just the tempo, but I feel like I've heard that tempo before. I love this. Yet again, I always bring up the choir whenever they use it. It sounds so good, especially with what I'm assuming is going to end up being the chorus, because that sounds like a chorus line. Just hearing it in the background sounds so good. And I really hope that they change up the lyrics in the second half like they do every so often with certain lines. So this should be good. Like Warmocked. Warmocked was super cool. They changed up the end lines.
Thousands of machine guns kept on firing through the night. Mortars placed and wrecked the scene. Guns the fields that once were green. Still a deadlock at the front line, where the soldiers die in mud. Roads and houses since long gone. Still no glory has been won. Know that many men have suffered. Know that many men has died. 6 months of ground has been won. 500,000 men are gone. And as the men
God, that's such a depressing metric.
killing carried on and on. What was the purpose of it all? Was the price of a mile?
A lot.
Thousands of feet march to the beat. It's an army on the march. Long way from home, paying the price in young men's lives. Thousands of feet march to the beat. It's an army in despair. Knee deep in mud, stuck in the trench with no way out.
Here I'm headbanging just depressing photos.
They pay the price. Oh, how they suffer. So tell me what's the price of a
What a great segue into the fucking solo. Like that was such an amazing segue into it. It sounded so good.
Thousands of feet march to the beat. It's an army on the march. Long way from home, paying the price in young men's lives. Thousands of feet march to the beat. It's an army in despair. Knee deep in mud, stuck in a trench with no way out. Thousands of feet march to the beat. It's an
Oh, the cutout and just the thumping of the drums sounds so good. I'll bring it back in the rest of the instruments. Okay, see, they did it with, they did the thing that I usually don't like with that one as well, where they fade both the lyrics and the instrumental out at the same time. I almost feel like what they should have done is what they did when they only had the drums thumping when the chanting. I think they should have either faded or cut the other instruments just with the thumping and have it fade out as if they're marching off to war. Or like marching on through the mud. That I feel like that's like my only critique. not even really a critique. It's just I would like to see how that would sound. You know what I mean? Still a really good song though, and a depressing topic that they always do well with these. All right, we're gonna jump. God, it didn't even feel like that long. I say that, but I've been recording twice as long as the video. We're gonna jump into the history section now. Hope you guys stick around. Let's go.
Joachim, what is the price of a mile?
I'll tell you, Indy, in a while.
Still really, that intro sounds so nice.
The Ypres salient in 1917 was a dismal place. Since the first battle for the city in late 1914,
Ypres salient, I don't know where that is.
The whole area had been caught in the stalemate of trench warfare. Whole local villages in no man's land simply ceased to exist. The Germans held the high ground in a half circle around the British positions in front of Ypres.
I had to look it up.
Their artillery observers ever watchful. Much of the plains in this region of Belgium, Flanders.
Oh, of course, it's Flanders. Thank you for telling me now.
That usually lay below sea level and could only be cultivated with the help of a network of drainage ditches. After 3 years of war, though, that system was destroyed, and the whole area turned again into a swamp once the autumn rains began.
Oh, what a depressing photo.
The Germans could not dig their typical deep trench systems, as the heavy clay would quickly become a quagmire when it rained. Instead, they dotted the landscape with strong points, reinforced pillboxes, and ferro-concrete bunkers, and just sat tight.
God. No, it's depressing. I know it's depressing and all that. This picture goes hard, though. Posing for a picture in your gas mask next to a fucking artillery gun, that picture kind of goes hard. This make a great, album cover. What was I gonna say? I don't remember.
Allies in general were in pretty serious.
Oh, God, I can't imagine having to. I've lived next to like swampy areas before. I would not want to do that at all. That shit is fucking horrendous.
Summer of 1917, the French were wavering after mutiny, and the Russians hard pressed after a revolution and the danger of another one. And it was up to British Commander Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig to take the pressure off of both.
Heard him a lot.
After a stunning victory at Messines Ridge on the right shoulder of Ypres, Haig had thought it possible to push the Germans off Passchendaele Ridge and get an excellent starting point for a decisive offensive. On July 16th, the British bombardment began. From more than 3,000 heavy guns, a hailstorm of fire rained down on the German lines all over the salient. The artillerymen systematically targeted every grid on their map, leaving only death and destruction in their wake. The German soldiers in the shallow forward trenches were obliterated, and only those lucky enough to take shelter in the bunkers escaped the shrapnel-filled air. Whole woods around the salient were blasted down, and only what I guess you'd call a moonscape of shell holes and tree stumps reaching out of the ground like skeletal fingers remained. Then,
what a great
bombardment.
What great imagery to say like that. Jutting out of the ground like skeletal fingers. And yeah, what great imagery. God.
Then, after 2 weeks of bombardment, on July 31st, the advance began. But instead of a frenzied rush over the parapets, the attack slowed to a crawl. It was like trying to cross a freshly plowed field. The soldiers' boots got stuck in the dirt, slipping and stumbling through the
that looks like
ground.
hell.
It was slow and it was exhausting, as they carried 80 pounds of equipment each with things like entrenching tools, grenades, and ammunition. Still, the first attack made rather promising headway towards Plickem Ridge and Westhook, capturing the first German lines. The men cleared the trenches and dugouts while capturing many miserable and shell-shocked German soldiers. British command judged from the first reports that a breakthrough might be imminent and that the capture of Passchendaele Ridge itself was to be within grasp. However,
don't
what they had conquered so
overextend.
far was really only a few forward positions and machine gun outposts. The Germans had abandoned the traditional system of trench lines and instead focused on a convoluted defense-in-depth system that went on for miles. So as the British soldiers ventured on, they suddenly found themselves under well-directed fire from camouflage strongpoints, hidden pillboxes, and snipers. They had, in fact, just entered the kill zone. The first waves were mown
that's
down,
the kill box.
soon isolated from the rest of their units. When the early days of August passed, the weather suddenly began to change. The sky darkened with clouds, and a thick mist descended over the area. It began to rain, and not just a little, but a torrential downpour, and it did not stop for days. The steady downpour soaked the whole area. Every man and every gun was soon drenched, and the ground softened to an ugly quagmire of mud and clay.
Oh, those poor horses.
Returned early this year. On the battlefield, all sense of direction was immediately lost. The terrain had changed so much that old maps, even recent maps, were useless. Between the skeletal woods and the gas-soaked shell holes, there was nothing on which to orientate yourself.
I can't imagine that. Like, that's such an insane... Like, I know that a lot of the time it's like, oh yeah, no. The Great War, especially, changed topography of a lot of places. But to the point where even recent maps and whatnot, just actually being there on the ground, you're like, okay, I know I need to head this way. Something happens and it's just... Dude, I'm fucking lost in the wide open. Like, look at this photo. It is just emptiness as far as the eye can see. That is insane. Like, it is so empty.
It was an extraordinary panorama, half frightening, half exciting.
Like, it's a singular building, even the one before this. Where is it? Like, it's a singular building with just dead woods for as far as you can see.
It was
insane.
An extraordinary panorama, half frightening, half exciting. Everywhere, as far as you could see, there were spurts of earth from shells bursting, and bursts of shrapnel and high explosives, and men looking like ants in the distance. You couldn't speak. The gunfire was so terrific. But you don't really hear the explosions individually. You just see them going off like geysers shooting up in the air. As far as you could see in front of you and to either side, there was nothing but mud, mud, mud for miles, and just a few stumps of trees here and there. And all hell let loose all around you. The stretcher bearers had it especially hard, down to their waists in the morass and the mud.
Oh,
Each step
God.
was exhausting. It took 4 to 6 men to carry one stretcher, and even small distances could take hours to cover. And at night, it was simply impossible to evacuate the wounded because of the danger of getting lost or stuck in the mud. Many wounded died waiting for the morning to come. The Germans shared.
It's not even just that, though. Oh, he looks sad, unless he's, like, trying to figure out who this was. But also, it's just one aspect you have to think of. You can't get clean in that kind of scenario. That kind of mud is because he's talking about clay and whatnot. That shit sticks to you. You won't be able to get clean.
Their misery, and it is reported that there was an unspoken rule to not fire on the stretcher parties. Lying wounded.
I'm glad, at least.
Was a terrible fate. Then there was a lull in the shelling, and through the machine gun slit on the back wall of the pillbox, we heard this terrible kind of gurgling noise. It was the wounded, lying there sinking, and this liquid mud burying them alive, running over their faces, into their mouth and nose. We had to keep heaving the duck boards up and trying to put some other stuff underneath, just so that the fellows wouldn't sink so much.
I was about to say, literally, right before he started talking about that, I was going to say, I wasn't going to mention it, because I was like, oh, maybe not, and maybe that's a little too grim, but there had to have been at least been a handful, at least, of people who drowned or suffocated in the mud. Because I was like, oh, because he said lying in the swamp was the worst. I'm just thinking, I honestly thought to like No Man's Land where you're stuck out there and like maybe trying to crawl your way back, but this is like, what if you're crawling back and you're so injured you can't stand up and all that, and you just ended up sinking in what was essentially quicksand and just suffocating, knowing no one would be able to get to you. Oh, that is depressing.
We could not understand why, in the name of God, anyone had ordered an attack like that over terrain like that. It was impossible. The heavier guns sank deeper into the ground each time they fired, and the men had to abandon the safety of their trenches as they filled up to their armpits with water. Engineers tried to bridge the flooded shell holes with pontoons, wooden walkways. However, those duckboards soon became a haunting image of the Passchendaele campaign. There was this constant fear of falling off and drowning in the morass, which was the fate of any soldier carrying his load who did so. The dead often simply disappeared in the mud, never to be seen again. 42,000 such bodies were never recovered at all.
And are just buried there.
It was worse when the mud didn't stick you down. When it yielded under your feet, you knew that it was a body you were treading on. It was terrifying.
Oh.
You'd tread on the stomach, perhaps, and it would grunt all of the air out of its body. It made your hair stand on end.
That's horrible.
The smell could make you vomit, and you could always tell whether it was a dead Jerry or a dead Tommy. The Germans smelt different in death.
That is such a depressing thought that it's just like, yeah, no, you can tell the difference by how the body smelled. Oh, that is horrendous.
It rained nearly all August long, one of the wettest months in local history. Without the ability to bring the heavy guns forward, the battles usually came down to small group actions. British battle groups and German counterattacks clashed with light machine guns and hand grenades in chaotic and confusing skirmishes without much cohesion or tactical finesse. As August came to a close, tens of thousands of men had already lost their lives. Some places had changed hands a dozen times, and whole map points were eradicated. The British forces were exhausted, and it passed to the Australians, South Africans, and New Zealanders to slowly grind away at the German defenses, which were in turn manned by exhausted, tired, and dirty men for weeks on end. Everybody was miserable and filled with frustration. When elite units from the Anzacs met with the Prussian guards, there were no prisoners taken. So far, more than 100,000 Allied casualties had paid for the advance of 3.5 miles. But they could not remain in the swamp. By winter, they had to push the Germans off the main ridge or pull back to their starting positions. But this could only be achieved by throwing more lives against the German defenses. The fighting for Zonnebeke and the men in road had eventually turned the salient around. And by the end of September, it was the Germans.
Apparently, 28,500 men is the price of 3.5
who were getting
is the price of it.
Surrounded. The new tactic by General Herbert Plumer to bite into the German defenses and hold limited objectives proved successful against German counterattacks. And with the weather clearing up, the heavy artillery could finally be brought up in support. But the German center was still strongly held. The British had no choice but to prepare for the final push, no matter the cost. By mid-October, and tens of thousands of more casualties later, there was only a small way to go to Passchendaele itself. Haig intended to bring in the Canadian and French forces for the final push.
Ooh, the Canadians, the war crime police.
General Arthur
the war
Currie
crimers.
Took one hard look at the battlefield and said that his men would not attack until everything was prepared as favorably as possible. Haig had little choice but to agree. They
Smart.
began preparing the
Smart
battlefield
fucking man.
and stocking up on artillery shells. What followed was another month of murderous bombardment and fierce fighting in a nightmarish environment. It was a long, hard slog up Passchendaele Ridge, and the casualties were enormous. Still, with the Canadians at the fore, the Allies gradually pushed onwards, duking it out against the stubborn German defenders, both sides trading lives for ground. In the end, the Germans had no working answer for the British bite-and-hold tactics, and were gradually pushed off their defenses. The village of Passchendaele itself was unrecognizable. It was simply bombed out of existence.
You know, it's just
The battle
gone.
officially ended on November 10th, as the final important high ground was captured. Although smaller fighting
Wait, hold
on
on, what was
November
that?
10th, as the final
Oh my god. Looks like it's a regular city, and then it looks like the fucking moon. Oh my god. That is what is that, a month?
important high ground was captured, although smaller fighting would
God, that's
still go on the
horrendous.
rest of the year. The ultimate number of casualties that had vanished in the mud during the battle for Passchendaele Ridge is still unknown. It is realistic to say that at least 500,000 men from both sides had paid for the ground of 6 miles. So the price of each mile is over 80,000 men. 80,000.
Is that fucking worth it?
Will forever speak of a terrible battle, of incredible hardship and incredible suffering. And that is something on which everyone can agree.
Young men are dying.
Well, also, one thing you have to think about as well, even if it's a historical site and you don't build there, whatever, blah, 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 even if you were able to, you wouldn't be able to build there. You would just be digging up bodies after bodies afterward. Even today, you would just be digging up skeletons, even if it wasn't, I would assume it is, but I don't know. Oh, these poor horses. A historical site.
They pay the price. Oh, how they suffer. So tell me what's the price of a
Oh, fucking thrown track on a Mark V.
Now, at the beginning, Joachim, you said you're going to tell them what the price of a mile is, and I'm sure they thought that was somehow a joke or something.
No,
But
it's
not.
80,000.
When we did the research, me and Pat were writing the lyrics. Oh, this is back in late 2007, I think, when we wrote the lyrics for this one.
I love how so many of their awesome songs come
Actually,
from
we
that
were
time.
Starting to think of that ourselves. What's the price of a mile? Obviously, we're talking about paying the price in young men's lives, as the lyrics say.
Right.
And then we wanted to find out, well, how many are we talking then? And what's the price for a mile? We then figured out, as far as we could tell, again, we could be wrong, that we're talking about 6 miles.
Oh, the maximum advance.
Yeah.
The maximum, okay.
Okay,
Okay,
fighting
yeah,
over.
sure. Yeah.
450,000 in 6 miles. I'm bad at math, but that should be about 75,000 miles.
Exactly 75,000. 75,000 lives per mile.
So I guess that's the price of a mile.
Now, was this
God,
your
that's so
first
fucking depressing.
World War I themed song? Or
No, actually, the first one was English Calling
Aha, yeah,
on
okay.
Apero Dominatus in 2006. This
Yeah.
one came out on Art of War in 2008. But I think actually,
Oh, the
when
song
we
is
did
that
this
old.
Song, I remember it clearly. I think we were sitting in Pat's dad's office, after
Okay.
hours.
Yeah.
We borrowed that to get some peace and quiet to write lyrics. And that's when we first time opened the idea that, man, we should make a whole, concept album about World War I one day.
Yeah.
This
And
is-
it took a lot of years.
Oh,
before you
yeah.
did.
This is
Took a lot of
late-
time, but it finally
late
happened.
2007
Wow.
when this happened. But yeah, in a way, this song and the research we did was the inspiration to the Great War album.
Of all
And
the
it's such a
battles
good
of the
album,
First World
too.
War, you picked one that's not one of the more well-known, not the Somme or Verdun. Well, how did you happen to end up with Passchendaele?
We looked around the Western Front
Yeah.
because obviously this is the Art of War album,
Right.
And we wanted every track to correspond to a chapter 13 chapters
Oh, yeah,
in
sure,
Sun
yeah.
Tzu's
Yeah.
book. Or
Makes
scroll,
sense.
whatever you want to call it. And at that point, on that chapter, Sun Tzu talks of the importance of dynamic conflict and avoiding stalemates. And we thought Passchendaele would be one of the most iconic or perfect examples for a useless standstill.
Sun Tzu would
Yeah.
not have been happy.
No.
They would have said, you guys, did you not learn? It's been like 2,500 years. You
Years,
guys didn't learn.
I don't know much about Sun Tzu, but I want to say he'd almost be horrified at just the sheer destruction and lives that were put into taking 6 overall miles of such little land, that many men. And overall, just the amount of destruction we're able to cause now.
Did you read the book, Doug? Did you read the book, Doug? What if Doug Haig actually read The Art of War?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Well, you guys can read The Art of War, and there's a link to the online version of it in the description. We can put that there.
And
'cause
it's
it is.
public domain, so it's free to download for anyone who wants. And it's a pretty short read and quite interesting. I would highly recommend it.
But also interesting.
Honestly,
is to
I
listen
kind of
the
want
album,
to.
The Art of War, song by song, and read the chapter about Sun and see how it relates to the Sabaton song about.
Oh.
So that's your homework for now. But we will see you next week on Sabaton History.
Yes, and there will be a test on the Art of War questions.
There will.
Yes.
Okay.
We just hope-
That'd be an interesting, like, I don't really stream, if at all, really. I think the last time I streamed was last year at some point. That'd be an interesting, I don't know what you would call it. That'd be an interesting stream to go through the album, like, read the chapter, listen to the song, and go through the entire album. That'd be interesting. Maybe.
Hold them to.
Yeah, I know, but I have to talk to Per because Per's hosting next week's episode, so I have to tell him he's got to check the. Oh yeah. There's gonna be a.
There's going to be a test on that.
Per will be,
Obviously.
Per will be cool with that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out in the future on Sabaton History.
Love Sabaton History.
From home, paying the price in young men's lives.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. And thank you so much for the support with the community. All the Patreons, everyone who's helping, sharing this. We really love doing this. And thanks to you, we can keep on doing it. So keep on doing what you do, and we will keep on doing what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. I love watching you guys. Like, honestly, I really fucking do. God, I love history. Always fun to check it out. Links are down below. Go check them out, as always. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. See ya.